Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered how we get from this to this? Well, here we go in this journey, in this video with the time lapse and some of the details that we go into of how to lay this floor. You'll see all of that process. There's just a couple of details I'd like to show you. The first one is actually behind you, just over here, guys. When we laid this parquet floor, it was really important that we got the border correct. Now, the one thing that we went through with the interior designer and the client, we wanted to make sure either they wanted a 2-block border or a 3-block border. The client and the interior designer chose for a 2-block because they thought that was more in keeping of the period of this property. Now you can see this detail here, look, because it's really key whenever you fit parquet, the skirting miters correlate with the borders. So you can see here, look at this miter point here coming through. You've then got the internal miter coming through here. Well, it's not actually a miter, but it's actually a scribe joint. You've then got the external miter coming through here, and then lines all the way through beautifully. And that's really key whenever you're setting your parquet up. Make sure you take in consideration all of your paneling or your skirting to pull all of the miter lines through in the right place. So there's another detail over here as well. This goes all the way around the skirting and then obviously comes in front of this detail here. Now what we've actually got through all of this, we've got this then all trimmed in, and then we've actually got a little bit of caulking. You can't actually see it because of the way we've hidden it, and that's actually trimmed here to allow for expansion and contraction as well. And it just finishes that detail off nicely, but this is like a 2-block parquet detail around the peripheral edge here as well. This is a drawing to show you what we're actually doing. Broadleaf from Cheltenham. Great guys, great working with them, really proactive. Dan and Chris, so a big hello to them and thank you for helping us out with this flooring. So it just shows us how they want it to be laid. And the reason we're using all of their products and we're not shifting is because all of the products, they're all compatible. If we use a different primer and then suddenly the floor fails, they could turn around and easily say, well, you should use our primer, and vice versa. If we use their primer, use a different adhesive, we know this adhesive is compatible with this primer. And also this primer has a moisture check or moisture barrier in that as well. The moisture meter that we're using is called Tramex. That was what was recommended by Broadleaf, so we're using that to take the moisture content of the floor. And then also they want humidity. And what we've done is we've positioned humidity stats in the room, 2 places, one over here, one over there. And then what that will do actually then shows you what the temperature and what the humidity is. At the moment you can see that's 19.9, the humidity is 65, so we actually need to get the humidity down in here because the minimum and maximum I think is about 40 to 60 degrees I think it is. So we've got a little bit of work to do here, get a bit of heat in here to get it to the right humidity. Once you've got the substrate, the really important next thing is to do is get the floor then scarified. It basically roughs up the surface, and what that does, it allows us to get a key for the primer to go onto that surface, which allows us to get a really, it soaks into the substrate and then gives us a nice surface, which you can see here. The liquid screed that we used, we only use liquid screeds now because we've used them for a long time, and what that allows us to do is get a really flat surface. So whatever we lay on there is going to be beautiful and flat, whether it's a tile, whether it's a parquet floor, whether it's a wooden floor, we just know it's going to be really nice and flat. So basically, before you prime, it's really important that we make sure the substrate is dry. We need to make sure we've got the humidity right in the room before we lay. We've had the parquet floor now in this room for about 14, 15 days. The moisture content in the block is exactly how we want it to be. We'll run tests on the blocks. We'll then lay separate packs out on the floor, which will allow us then to give it more circulation around the packs. We've already done that twice. But obviously we have to re-pallet them to move them around to make it easier for us when we're priming this floor. And then we have to allow 12 hours for this to cure. The reason we didn't do this section over here, which hopefully Ollie can just spin around and show you, we've just done this. The reason we couldn't do this is because all of the parquet floor was on pallets over here. So what we've done is that we've now moved the parquet floor, moved over to here, which allows them to prime this floor. But for today's purposes, we're actually going to be finding out the centre of this room, and we're then going to strike a line down the centre of the room, and we're then going to work to the 3 lines. We'll have a centre line, and then we'll have a working line to the right hand side and a working line to the left hand side. Now to find the centre line of the parquet flooring and the joint, I then line up these points here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So I then line them through, so that's 1. I then line the other one up, 1, 2, 3, 4 points there. And if I've lined it through properly, this should be parallel all the way through. So that will be my next check to make sure I've got it nice and parallel. And looking at it, it looks pretty good. So what I do to check it's parallel is I get my tape on the 100mm mark. That's 49 millimeters, and that's 49 millimeters, you see? So that's lovely and parallel. So those are classed as my working lines. So then the centre line is in the middle of that 49 millimeters. So that is the true centre line of the parquet flooring. It's not here or it's not there. It's actually in the true centre here. I'm now going to measure 20, what's half of 49 is 24 and a half. So a nice V again. So I then line that through. So that then becomes my centre line. That then represents then the edge. So what I'll now do is now I've got the ping line that we've done here on this is my centre line. I'll now ping my working line. So basically when I'm laying this block square, that'll become, the working line will be here, that's my centre line, and then that's my other working line. So I'm going to now ping on the floor this line and this line. So as I'm running the parquet flooring up, I'm lining in this point and this point to the working line, so I know that it's going to come nice and centre. And all I'll do is every time I lay about 2 or 3, I'll keep checking it nice and square on the outer side and just making sure that I'll set up a secondary string line on here, as well as a nice metal straight edge, to then I can tap these firmly too so it doesn't drift anywhere. And then hopefully if the blocks are all the same length, it works out great. So now we've got the centre line, we're now going to mark the working lines, and we're going to now mark them in red because it's easier to define than you're working in your centre lines, you don't get mixed up. Lovely, so that's that one. So we're now going to ping the second working line on the left hand side of the centre line. So we're going to get that nice and tight. You can probably see there's a little bit excessive chalk, but now you can see we've got a centre line, we've got a working line and a working line, which is absolutely beautiful. The next thing that we've got to do in this process, which is really important, is to get a line that's perfectly square. Now some people, they put a big square on this line and then move it along that way, then turn it over and then run it the other way. I don't like doing that. I like to do the old school way, which I was taught. A travel compass, when I come to arc this across here, I pretty much know I'm going to be about here, like this. I'm going to step out there, about 700mm from the outline, so we can put some blue tape around there. And doing it this way, I know it'll be absolutely 90 degrees to what we're going to do. And just going to go on the centre line here. I'll put an arc here like that. And then all we're then going to do is then move the point along the centre line again. We're going to mark it again here, so you see where it's crossing now. And then we'll move this around over here. And it's now crossing here. So we've got lovely crossed over lines. Go centre of that mark there, which I was going to do. Centre of that mark there. There you go. And that's exactly now 90 degrees. This is the reason I don't like using squares so much when I'm doing lining. It can be easily slightly out, but you can see that's perfect there. I'll set my ply gusset now to that. What we have is a beautiful 90-degree square to work off. This is 700mm, 700mm. This is lovely 90 degrees. That flat edge now is going to go all the way along my line on here, like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to get that lined up here, this lined up here, and then what we're going to do is then we're going to put the parquet on here, and once we got that moved into place, this is lovely 90 degrees to this line here. That means as we then put a lot of weight on here, we can then start to put the block paving down, work to these lines here, and then we know we're dead in centre. So we'll put this now on the actual ping line that we've actually done here, so we're going to put that onto there. We then pull this then to the level line. We then put a weight on there with my knees, and then what I've then done is pulled this ply gusset then to the level. So now I know that's lovely and 90 degrees to my center line here. And then where that point is there, that's actually then working to the left-hand side of my working line. So basically when I get that block there now, push that in, you can see that corner works there. That's my center of my block. Next one goes in, up to like that, line them through, there we go. And then all I'll do is that block then will go into there, like this. The next one will, like that, push it up to this line here. We use a metal straight edge here, and then the next block then comes in. We've got a lovely nice firm back piece here. Because we can't drill this down here, we're having to use these lead weights just to stop it moving so much. And we're using a further string line, because the distance from the working left-hand line to this right-hand line is 200 mil, so we've literally set this string line all the way through, so we know it's perfectly straight when it goes through. Now, next thing to do is we're just going to ping a line here so we know where the glue's going to come. So we're going to measure from the centre 200 mil, and then once we've got the 200 mil, we'll ping a line, and that'll tell us where we can bring the glue across to. I'll measure there. On that, 200 mil. There we go, we're just going to run this, and this line is going to be our glue line, because we don't want to put glue everywhere all over the floor, because we just want to get this centre running, because then we can work off this centre run. So, okay, mate? Yeah. What we're going to do now is the time lapse, and we can start running through. The centre line that's going through the parquet, we make sure that the 90 degrees this way to the centre line. We measure on the back of the parquet, which allows us to see, make sure we're keeping it exactly square to the vertical line. So what have we got there, Mark, now?
301.
Cool.
301.
Awesome, so that's really good, guys. We've got it exactly square, which we need. Cool. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, like, comment and subscribe. My name's Tony. You've been watching Build with A&E. Have a great week. Take care, guys.